Okay, I want to talk about why some drugs are addictive and other drugs are not. And there are a couple of concepts. One is tolerance. Oh, let's see. Just use my finger. And dependency. Addictive substances create a tolerance and build up dependency. Non-addictive substances don't. And that's a simple rule of thumb to distinguish the two. When you're talking about addiction, you can consider talking about the 4 C's, which include craving. If I mention Starbucks espresso coffee and it triggers a craving, then you know you're addicted to it. Unless you just had some, maybe not. But, and then a compulsive use. So where you spend time thinking about it, where you would be in distress being without your drug of choice. And then continuation. In spite of negative consequences. And if you just keep those 4 C's in mind, you can be an addiction expert. And often people that are addicted absolutely will argue to the death that they are not. That, they may drink a 1/5 of scotch every single day and maybe 2/5 on the weekend just because they like the taste. It has nothing to do with craving. It's not compulsive. They could stop anytime they wanted. In fact, they stopped 15 years ago for a weekend once. Continuation. In spite of the fact that their wife is fed up, that they are missing work, that they are in financial problems. Oh, I'm sorry, I must be out of range of the camera. Sorry, Scott. In spite of multiple negative consequences, they continue to use and they continue to be absolutely certain that it's not a problem, in spite of the fact that everyone else thinks that it is. And addicts and alcoholics in this state of unawareness of their own problems are, when I say they're absolutely certain, there's a certainty bordering on religious belief that, really cannot be shaken. And negative consequences, those are the things that people talk about when they get together and have an intervention, where you get the best friend and the boss and the children and the wife, the minister, anyone who's important to this person, and you tell them about all the negative consequences. And the reason for doing that is because often someone in a state of denial, if they can convince one person that they're really okay, then they can negate whatever all those other people say. And I wonder, boy, wouldn't it be nice if there was just something on here that would erase everything all at once? But oh, okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Let's see. I wonder if that would be. All right. There we go. Great. Yeah, it has a page with a plus on it. So, all right, what makes an addictive substance addictive? And typically, people use whatever substance that they like to get a certain effect. So say, for example, if they're trying to get to sleep, and a few drinks help you sleep better. So if the symptom, well, let's see. The symptom in this case would be insomnia, and their drug of choice would bring relief from the symptom. They'd be able to sleep a little bit better. So this is the relief that they want. All good so far. The problem is you get relief as blood levels are rising, and that relief goes away as blood levels fall, and you go into a state of withdrawal. The withdrawal is caused by falling blood levels down to 0. So say if you get your blood alcohol level up to 0.08, the legal limit for driving under the influence of alcohol, and then you sleep well, you feel just fine. You wake up in the morning, all that alcohol has been metabolized, your blood alcohol level is 0, and if you've had a blood alcohol level day after day after day, and it goes to 0, then you will experience withdrawal, and part of the withdrawal is a worsening of the original symptom. So you will get more insomnia than you had in the first place. No problem at all. Just use more of your drug of choice. You know, instead of 3 drinks, you go to 4 drinks. 4 drinks, 6 drinks, etc. You still get relief. But unfortunately, because your blood alcohol levels are higher, say you have to get up to 0.12 now instead of 0.08, so you're going to have more withdrawal because those blood levels have higher to fall, or a longer distance to fall, and therefore you get more of the original symptom. And as you go around and around and around this vicious cycle, you will get an exaggeration of the original symptom. Engineers call it a positive feedback loop. It's like when you put the microphone in front of the speaker and it makes that awful squelch noise. It's because it gets amplified. The symptoms get amplified. The use of your drug of choice has to increase, and finally, you don't get relief anymore. You just try to get an escape from the withdrawal. That's the problem. And the shorter acting the medication, the more rapidly you go through these cycles. Every time you go around the vicious cycle, it amplifies the underlying symptom. And so with a long-acting medication like Valium, with a half-life, say, 12 hours, 12 to 16 hours. Every 12 to 16 hours, you're going around this cycle. With a short-acting medication like Xanax or Alprazolam, the half-life is more in the range of 2 to 4 hours. So you go through this more rapidly. The ultimate one is cocaine because it only lasts for about 20 minutes. And so you use it over and over and over and go rapidly around this cycle, building up a tolerance. Now, as the level of your drug of choice increases, you start to get more and more side effects. And in the case of alcohol, side effects are unanticipated sedation, falling asleep, passing out, or even blacking out, where you're sleepwalking, sleep driving, not aware of what you're doing, but yet not at a full level of consciousness. So a blackout would be an example of an unintended side effect. And usually don't see that until the disease is advanced and you've built up a tolerance, built up a dependency, and had to go to higher and higher blood levels of your drug of choice. Same thing happens with opiate addicts. Practiced opiate addicts can manage their heroin dose very well, except for a couple of problems. The Food and Drug Administration doesn't monitor the purity of heroin, and they can't complain to their dealer. Sometimes the heroin is very weak and they have to use a lot of it. Sometimes, unaccountably, it's very pure and they die. If they're pushing their drug of choice to the level that they're getting unintended side effects of respiratory suppression, they stop breathing. And when I worked as an emergency room physician, I called that the screech, beep, beep, screech dump. The tires would screech, 2 quick beeps on the horn, tires would peel out, and there'd be a guy dumped in front of the emergency room, dark blue, purple in color. And sometimes you could hit them with Narcan and they'd wake up swearing at me. And sometimes they were dead. And that's what happens with an opiate overdose. Now, you can get opiate overdoses from prescription opiates also. It's not as common because using with a needle is much more dangerous, but it's still actually fairly common, and particularly if people are using opiate pain pills, sleeping pills, Benadryl, multiple medications with multiple additive side effects of respiratory suppression. And in cases like the Anna Nicole Smith case, there were multiple drugs, and ironically, her son also died of multiple drugs. In his case, it was methadone. And this is why, because with all these trips around this vicious cycle, they've had to increase their dose, they've built up a tolerance. To get any relief at all, or even to escape withdrawal, they have to use more and more and more of this drug of choice. And that's why these drugs are dangerous, and that's why the short-acting drugs like Xanax, like cocaine, like heroin, are the most addictive.